Mr. Speaker, let me again thank His Excellency the President for his speech opening this session of Parliament. His opening address epitomized the exemplary leadership and patriotism he has displayed over the course of his lifetime of service to the Fijian people. You and I, Mr. Speaker, and some members in these chambers have served with him, and like many people out there in the public know, his honor is unquestionable. His optimism is inspiring, and his belief in our nation and our people's potential is unwavering. Mr. Speaker, we are blessed to have a president who so openly makes the causes of vulnerable people his own and who advocates at every opportunity for a better, healthier, and more inclusive Fiji. It was out of recognition for his passion and patriotism that I was privileged to lead this Parliament in approving His Excellency's appointment as our head of state last year. Mr. Speaker, it was a proud day for Fiji and for the Fijian people. As one of our nation's great leaders, he assumed the highest office in the land. But shamefully, not one member of SODELPA was there to witness that occasion. Led by the same leader who leads them today, they abandoned their seats and ran to the media, hoping to steal the limelight for themselves and rob our people of a proud moment in Fijian history. So, Mr. Speaker, it is no surprise the leader of the opposition began this week with another show of disrespect towards the office of the President and the democracy His Excellency serves. Listening to the tirade from the leader of the opposition, and I say leader with a lot of misgivings, I wasn't angry. In fact, Honorable Speaker, I was quite relieved. I was relieved to finally see him drop the charade of statesmanship and expose the ugly nature of his true character. He has proved he is still the man history will always remember him to be. A selfish, short-sighted, and hateful ethnic supremacist. As a former...
Order.
It's a fact.
Order.
It's a fact.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, as a former...
Honorable.
There is a point of order 62(4)(a). Hateful and selfish. Those are the words which should not be used against another member. So I ask that those be withdrawn. Thank you.
Honorable member, the Prime Minister is on his right of reply on this. Should not be any disturbance. You have the floor, sir. Excuse me.
As I was saying, Mr. Speaker, he has proved he's still the man history will always remember him. A selfish, short-sighted, and hateful ethnic supremacist. As a former military man, he should understand who he's addressing. He's addressing His Excellency, the President. Politics aside, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Seri Ratu, in his reply to His Excellency's address, said that the leader of the opposition, in his reply, was arrogant and disrespectful. As I said, for a former military man, I can also add that his answer was very insulting, to say the least, and full of self-importance. Herein, Mr. Speaker, lies the problem. You see, Honorable Speaker, he is leading the rest of the members of the opposition down a blind alley. And they really don't know what the snake has in store for them. How do we know, Mr. Speaker? Very simple, Honorable Speaker. The leader of the opposition has the gall to ask for my resignation. And the Reds are following the Merry Piper, also calling for my resignation. But they're just a bunch of newbies wanting to be wannabes. They have no idea what I and the military government, and now the Fiji First government, have done to bring Fiji where we are today. For example, free education for our children. And free education for their children. But we all know, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Voreqe has no authority to lecture this chamber on graciousness. Not when his party was turning their backs on the nation, while in glaring contrast, His Excellency the President was answering a noble call of service. That level of hypocrisy, Honorable Speaker, has rendered their indignation completely hollow. Their own sound and fury signify even less than nothing, as both are undermined by the disrespect they have shown His Excellency the President from the day he was reappointed. While sitting through the tirade this week, I found myself asking, Honorable Speaker, what part of His Excellency's opening address struck such a nerve with the opposition? Was it the Fijian children for holding pride in their constitution and living the ideals of true democracy? Could it be that? Was it His Excellency's denouncement of the backwards politics of division and unity? Or maybe, Honorable Speaker, maybe it was the strength of my government's record of achievement. But the bigger question, Honorable Speaker, is why don't we see any anger from the opposition on real issues, issues that carry serious national significance? Where was their rage when Honorable Mbulitabo demeaned Fijian women and defended their abusers? Where is their fury? Where is their fury when members of their own party tell lies on social media to the iTaukei landowners and in this very chamber? And where was their anger when our children was cursed by Honorable Ngerengere Tambua? But the insulting order. But the insulting bit there, Honorable Speaker, and the next morning there was a photo of her in the Fiji Time in church. I don't know what she was doing in church. In the case of the leader of the opposition, Honorable Speaker, where was his indignation in the face of the corruption, moral bankruptcy and demise of our national bank? All of which define his past government. We needed his anger then. We have no use for it now. Instead, Mr. Speaker, the opposition said their outrage for children, our children and Fijians of all ages, for taking part in the hashtag Our Constitution Challenge. Their outrage for a president who holds a positive vision for our future, and outrage for a people who refuse their notions of ethnic supremacy. But what upsets them most of all, Mr. Speaker, is the permanence of what my government has achieved. They cannot stand to watch the Fijian people embrace a new era, embrace common identity, embrace true democracy, and shed and throw away Sodelpa and the SDL's government's shameful legacy. I endorse Honorable Seru Ratu's advice to you, members of the opposition. Get rid of your leader, because he's going to be your killer. On that note, since you've done nothing but harp and cry and complain throughout, my advice is to follow him out. Mr. Speaker, you can support toss of coins. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, I had the privilege of honoring the memory of and legacy of Captain Stanley Brown, the first ever commander of the Fijian Navy, and a man I was proud to call my mentor. When I was 10 years old, I served on board Captain Brown's yacht as one of his cadets. Later in life, I joined him on Fiji's first ever naval deployment. I took from him many great lessons of life. He taught me how to commit to the service of others. He taught me how to bring people together and help them help each other in common cause. Most importantly, Honorable Speaker, he taught me to see the equal value in every person. He taught me to treat everyone, no matter their background or beliefs, with dignity. To this day, those same lessons of leadership passed to me by Captain Brown and mentors like him guide every decision I make and every action taken by my government. And therein lies the great difference between the Fiji First Party and the members of the opposition. We see the purpose of our people, the purpose of our people share, while the leader of the opposition and the opposition see nothing but differences. We harness the power of national unity, while they sow ethnic, religious, and provincial discord. We empower the potential of our younger citizens, while they prey on fear and curse our children. We speak to the promise of our future, while they wallow in the past. And we celebrate the greatness of Team Fiji, while they degrade our national pride and discredit Fijian achievement. Mr. Speaker, the contrast could not be any starker. From my side of the chamber, the Fijian people have heard recognition of the real challenges they face, along with actual solutions. They have heard an honest record of achievement. They have heard a strategic approach supported by facts and proven policy-making expertise. They have heard a positive vision for the future, and they have heard from a government who actually believes in the talents, in the abilities and ambition of the coming generations. Mr. Speaker, as that has been a subject of discussion this week, allow me to give this chamber a lesson in true patriotism. I want to tell the opposition side of the House, if you want to see true Fijian patriots, go to the front line of our diplomatic efforts, where our sleepless delegations fight relentlessly to elevate our voice on the world stage. If you want to see true patriots, look to the young people putting in the sweat and effort to support my government's projects in their communities. If you want to see true patriots, look to the children of Fiji who do not see the world through the lens of our differences, but who greet their fellow citizens with open hearts and minds unclouded by prejudice. And if you want to see true patriots, look to the police officers like Suta Niumatewalu, who gave his life in the defense of his fellow Fijians. To the members of the opposition, that is where you'll find true patriotism. You will not find it looking in the mirror. True patriotism, Mr. Speaker, means sacrificing self-interest for the sake of something larger, more meaningful, and more enduring. I won't have my patriotism questioned by a party who advocates ethnic supremacy, who endorses religious fundamentalism, and who shuns their duties to serve in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, the women and men I lead always put Fiji and the Fijian people first. We are not an ethno-nationalist rebel. We are a government that fights for every Fijian, every child, every woman, and every Fijian from remote and rural communities, every religion, every province, and every background. Honorable Speaker, I may no longer be that 10-year-old boy tasked with shipment's duties on board Captain Brown's yacht, and I may no longer serve as a commander in our Navy. You cannot choose leaders based on where they come from, how they worship God, or their ethnicity. You choose the right people for the right roles or face the dire consequences of mission failure. And when you do find yourself privileged to lead, at times you must make hard choices and you must make them decisively. Honorable Speaker, as a former military officer yourself, I'm sure you know there are times when the breadth of the available resources does not match the scale of the challenges ahead. In the case of a small island nation, that is the case far more often than not. But it is those moments, Honorable Speaker, when strong leadership shines brightest. It is those moments when innovation matters most. It is in those moments we must be creative, we must find new solutions, and we must chart a bold course through the headwinds His Excellency the President has warned us are on the horizon. I remember every problem I've encountered and every solution I've forged as Prime Minister, from the mammoth task of modernizing our economy to the day-to-day victories of bringing clean water, reliable power, or new technology to Fijian communities. And I certainly remember all the doubters along the way who questioned my leadership and attacked my decision-making. But my record today, Mr. Speaker, speaks for itself. As our economy has grown with strength and consistency, 10 straight years, 10 straight years. As per capita income is more than double, as unemployment has plummeted to the lowest rate in 2 decades. As we've taken foreign reserves to record heights, as we have revolutionized the education system, as we've built bigger and better national assets and secured greater private sector development, and as we've seen network of essential services rapidly expand, our people have damn good reason to say they are proud to be Fijian. Mr. Speaker, I want to be clear with every member of this Parliament. We take His Excellency the President's call to stand together and work together with total sincerity. But we live in the real world. We deal only with accurate information. We haven't built a modern Fiji on an unstable foundation of conjecture and fabrication. The unprecedented progress of our economy is not my opinion, Honorable Speaker. These are conclusions drawn from data verified by independent third-party agencies like the IMF, the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, Moody's, and Standard & Poor's. I want to tell the members of the opposition, if you accept that reality, if your contributions meet the high bar we've set in the committees as well as in this chamber, I assure you, we will treat them seriously. But if you continue to conduct yourselves at your current level of gutter politics, if you can continue to manufacture despair and make a mockery of truth and decorum, I will make no apologies for calling out any of you. Don't be fearful of facts. Embrace them. Embrace real debate. Make real contributions. Give the Fijian people a reason to tune into these discussions and learn something. Something real, something new. Don't drag us back into the ugliness of the past. Don't wallow in the shadow of your leader. Don't surrender the battle of real ideas before it even begins. If you don't agree with something, try actually offering an alternative for once, instead of stomping your feet and walking out in protest. Order. Mr. Speaker, I urge Sudapa to be more than a one-issue party. And the tired fiction that we, the iTaukei, are somehow marginalized people, and that by treating our people equally, we're somehow leaving others behind. And their siege mentality. I'm not asking for compromise with my government, Honorable Speaker. I'm asking them to compromise with reality. We, the Taukei people, hold a proud culture that grows prouder and stronger by the day. I want to tell them to open their eyes. Open your eyes and look at your nation's leadership. Do you think that I or any other proud Itaukei leaders sitting alongside me feel marginalized in our own country? It is lunacy to suggest so, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
The only Itaukei who feel marginalized are you. Members of the opposition who so desperately want to sit on this side of the chamber, and they're willing to lie to our people to do so. Willing to tell them that they are under threat, when in reality, it is only them, your power, and your privilege which is under threat from my government. Our culture, the Itaukei culture, is helping lead the world through great challenges by reshaping the minds of global leaders through initiatives like the Talanoa Dialogue, which is spurring global action on climate change. We hold total and irrevocable ownership over nearly all of the land in the country. While in other nations, other indigenous people are often contained in tiny reservations. Yet still, members of the opposition act as if ILO Convention 169 on the rights of indigenous and tribal peoples somehow applies to the Itaukei, as if we suffer in the country we live, with land we own, and with a constitution that forever protects our unique culture, customs, tradition, language, and our land. Mr. Speaker,
Order.
Mr. Speaker, the members of the opposition need to come out from behind their fake pages on social media, leave their DVDs and CDs behind. Leave their DVDs and CDs behind at home, and spend time coming up with actual ideas to share with this chamber. When doing so, I again urge them to listen to what the young people, including our young landowners, have to say. They don't want their progress to come at the expense of the Indo-Fijian brothers and sisters. They don't feel attacked by the ideal of common identity. They want what every young Fijian wants: opportunity. They want development. They want services they can count on. Education that remains free, and real opportunities to secure employment, develop their land, build and purchase homes, and start businesses of their own. These are the issues my government is steadily working to solve. These are the issues that actually demand this chamber's attention. If they continue to demand a return to the old ways, if they continue to demand ethnic and religious tests to access opportunity in our society, they will never be able to count themselves as true leaders or true patriots needed by Fiji of today. Mr. Speaker, this week we celebrated the 30th anniversary of the rights of the child, a landmark moment for international diplomacy, where I proudly reaffirmed Fiji's commitment to protect, empower, and inspire our children. Young Fijians, no matter their background, no matter their religion, and no matter where they call home, do not see the world through the lens of our differences. They are certainly not obsessed with ethnicity. They won't learn to see each other differently unless we teach them to do so.
Yes.
But if we teach them the power of unity, if we teach them the power of tolerance, acceptance, and togetherness, we will take this country to unimaginable heights of greatness. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues in this Parliament to step into that future with me, leave the old debates, the old ways of doing things in the past where they belong. We are on the cusp of celebrating our half-century of our independence. Only by adhering to the principles of equality, respect, and inclusiveness can we meet our Excellency the President's great challenge to make the next 50 years the best 50 years Fiji's ever known. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I endorse His Excellency the President's speech address. Thank you.